everyone, so I'm here with my April wrap-up video, and these are going to be all the books that I've read in April. There's kind of a lot of them, more than I've ever read in a month, so I'm going to try to get through them as quick as I can. So first off, the first book I read was Steadfast by Claudia Gray, and this is the second book in the Spellcaster series. I like this book. I gave it a 3.5 stars. I'm not going to get too much into this book because it's kind of hard to explain it without giving away some of the things that happens in the first book in Spellcaster. But pretty much in Spellcaster, the main character is Nadia, and she moves to a new town with her dad and her brother right after their mom leaves them. And Nadia is a witch, and she's being trained by her mom, who's also a witch. And she and her dad and her brother end up moving to this new town, and she quickly realizes that there's strange things going on with this town, and there's like really dark magic that surrounds this town. And she ends up later meeting Elizabeth, who is a sorceress, which is basically a dark witch who swing themselves to the one beneath. And so she meets Elizabeth and finds out that she's planning this huge, horrible thing on the night of the carnival, the town carnival. Something big's going to happen, and she pretty much has to try and figure out a way to stop Elizabeth, which is kind of hard because Elizabeth is hundreds and hundreds of years old, and she's been practicing magic for hundreds of years, and Nadia is a new witch, new to witchcraft. She's just starting out, barely learning, and sort of having to teach herself witchcraft since her mom has left, so she's left without a teacher or anyone to guide her, and she pretty much has to figure things out on her own and has to go up against Elizabeth. So that's pretty much what happens in the first book. If you haven't read Spellcaster, pick it up, give it a try. And if you have read Spellcaster, then I would say continue on with Steadfast. Let's see, another book that I read this month was Hooked, which I don't have the book with me because I let one of my supervisors at work borrow it. But the whole title is called Hooked, New Science on How Casual Sex is Affecting Our Children. And it's by Joe S. McHaney and Frida McKissick-Bush. I don't know if I'm saying their names right. But this is pretty much what the book looks like. I don't know if you guys can see that too well. Kind of a glare. But I gave it 4 out of 5 stars. And pretty much it's nonfiction, obviously. It's a science-based book on how casual sex and having sex with multiple partners, how it affects our mental health and our emotional health, and how it affects our future relationships. So that's pretty much what the book is about. So if you're interested in science and the science of sex, go check it out. And so, let's see, another book that I read, it's over here on this pile. So I did a discussion video on this book, Rebel Belle. So I'm not going to be talking about it because I already did a discussion video on it. So if you want to hear my thoughts about that, I will link that video down below. And then, let's see here. I also, this month, I read Nameless by Lily St. Crow. Nameless, A Tale of Beauty and Madness. And I'm just going to read the back of this book because this book was so confusing. I still don't even really understand it. So I'm just going to read the back. A battered child is found alone in the snow by the godfather of the seven, the powerful families that rule magic-ridden New Haven. Papa Volticino adopts the girl, naming her after his dead wife and raising her in luxury on Haven Hill alongside his son Nico. Now 16, Camille keeps her faded scars hidden under her school uniform. She opens up only to her two best friends, Ruby and Ellie, and to Nico, who has become more than a brother to her. But even though Cammy is pampered, even though Cammy is a pampered Volticino princess, she knows that she is not really family. She is merely mortal with a buried, uneasy past, and it's not until she meets the mysterious Tor, who reveals scars of his own, that Cammy begins to uncover the secrets of her birth and of the mysterious white-robed woman who calls from beneath New Haven's twisted streets. So, this book, I really didn't like it. I gave it a 1 out of 5 stars. It's just way confusing. And it says it's supposed to be a retelling of Snow White, which I really didn't see that much in this book. I really didn't see the resemblance to Snow White or as a retelling of Snow White. But yeah, this book, it was so confusing because there's a lot of like magical elements and paranormal elements to this world. There are things called potentials and twisted and jacks, but none of it is explained. Like, you have this world full of all these paranormal magical creatures, but then the author doesn't really explain what those creatures are, what they can do, or like, it's just a very confusing book. And yeah, I will not read it again. It's probably gonna be in my unhaul video. Not probably, it will be in my unhaul video. This is one that I'm gonna get rid of because it was just too confusing and I didn't like it. Then, to go along with that, I started reading Wayfair. Now, I bought this one around the same time I bought Nameless, and this is also another fairy tale retelling, sort of, but this is based on the Cinderella story. And with this book, I started it, I just couldn't really get into it, so I didn't even finish it. Again, the world is not explained. What the creatures are and the potentials have these powers, but you don't know what they are. And like, nothing's really explained very well. With Nameless, it wasn't really explained very well. I only made it to like page 40 maybe in this one, and still nothing was very explained. This one was a little bit easier though to understand, because whereas Nameless, even though it said it was a retelling of Snow White, I couldn't really see anything in that story that reminded me of the story of Snow White. Whereas Wayfair, I could actually see the Cinderella story within the story. So that helped to make it a little bit less confusing. And I understood a little bit more, but I still I couldn't really get into it. Didn't really suck me in, so I didn't finish this book, so I didn't even rate it. If I had to, I guess I'd probably give it a 2 stars, just because it's a little bit less confusing. But at the same time, it's still going to be one of the books that is going to end up in my unhaul. One of the books I'll end up giving away. So that's that. Those are those books, those 3. And then, let's see. This chair's in my way. Anyway, so the next book that I read was The Time-Traveling Fashionista on Board the Titanic by Bianca Teresky. And this is a middle grade book, which the main reason I bought it was because of the pictures inside. I don't know if you write the pictures. Okay, so like here's one picture. There's more pictures if I can get to them, but I really like the pictures of all the dresses in this book, so that kind of grabbed my attention. But basically, this is kind of like a historical fiction where the main character, which I forget her name, but the main character ends up going to this vintage fashion sale and ends up trying on a dress that transports her back onto a cruise ship. So she's transported back in time onto a cruise ship, but it isn't until later on that she finds out, and that's the dress that actually transports her, but it isn't until later on that she finds out that she is on board the Titanic. And so pretty much when she finds that out, starts freaking out a little bit and tries to talk to the captain and some of the other crew members to try to get them to realize this ship is going to sink. It's going to sink. We need to, turn the ship, like steer off path so we don't hit the iceberg. But no one believes her. They all think she's just this hysterical woman because obviously at the time everyone's like, the Titanic's unsinkable. What are you talking about? So, yeah, pretty much that's what the story's about. She ends up on the Titanic and she's got to figure out how to help these people, but then at the same time having to figure out how to get back home, because obviously you don't want to stay on the Titanic while it's sinking. So she has to try to figure out a way home as well. And so that's that book. And then another book I read in April, which I won't talk about or explain because I have a book review on this as well, and that is Dorothy Must Die. And so I already have a book review up on Dorothy Must Die, and so if you want to know my thoughts about that. Oh, and also, did I say for Time Traveling Fashionista, I gave this one 3 out of 5 stars. And then for Dorothy Must Die, I gave it a 4 out of 5 stars. I'll link the video to my review on that one below so you can check it out.